see you folks, Assalamu alaikum. We want to get ready to receive the word of Allah, so we want to move up. Anybody on the side of the wall, they need to make a roll. We need to make
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تسألون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا وعما بعد. Praise be to Allah, we seek His help and His forgiveness. We seek refuge with Allah from the evil of our own souls and our bad deeds. Whomsoever Allah guides will never be led astray, and whomsoever Allah leads astray, no one can guide. I bear witness that there is no one worthy of worship except Allah. He is one, He has no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a servant and messenger. O you believe, fear Allah as you should be feared, and die not except in a state of Islam. O mankind, be dutiful to your guardian Lord who created you from a single person, and from him He created his wife, and from them both created many men and women. And fear Allah, for whom you demand your mutual rights, and do not corrupt the relations of the wombs that bore you. Brothers and sisters, I want to begin today with a verse that we find in Surah Al-Hajj, which is chapter 22, verse 37. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in His words, Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا ينال الله لحومها ولا دماؤها ولكن يناله التقوى منكم. It is not their meat or their blood that reaches Allah. However, it is their piety, or it is your piety that reaches Him. Ibn Abbas reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, there are no days during which the righteous action is so pleasing to Allah than these days. And many of the scholars of Hadith, they narrated that this refers specifically to the first 10 days of Dhul-Hijjah, which we are in right now. Alhamdulillah, brothers and sisters, we are completing just around the first week of Dhul-Hijjah. This is 4 here we are, 1400 years, over 1400 years after the death of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and thousands of years after the death of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi. And brothers and sisters, we are reaping the rewards and the benefits of the foundation and the practices and the sunnah that they left thousands of years ago. We are commemorating that now. We are reaping the benefits of that now. We are living in their legacy presently. And I'm not saying any of this when I say that we are blessed in a very simplistic way. Brothers and sisters, it's a fact that we are blessed. Look at what we have. We have our wealth, we have our lives, we have our health, we have many of our faculties, if not all of our faculties. We have our relationships, we have our communities, we have our education, we have this, and we can go on and on and on about the things that we have. And even if you do not have each one of the things I mentioned there before in its fullest extent, there are still many things, or there are still many things that you have that I haven't even mentioned. And even if you don't have the things that I mentioned to their full capacity, you may still have some of it. Because usually when we say wealth, we understand that to mean an abundant amount of wealth. Right? We think of wealth that I can lay on it and I don't have to worry about it. Like I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. But even if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that is still some level of wealth. You still have that. If you are someone who doesn't have to worry about how bills are getting paid each month, you have some level of wealth. Something you have. And that is a mercy from Allah. Because you know for a fact that there are those who don't know how they're going to eat come tonight. We know for a fact that there are those who have not had breakfast, who have not had lunch, and they do not know when they're going to have their next meal. So brothers and sisters, when I say that we are blessed, it is not being simplistic, it is not being borderline or baseline. It is a fact that we here are blessed. But it is also easy to see the things that we do not have. And that's normal. We can see the things that we do not have. If you had a car that was working and your car is no longer working, it is easy to see that you no longer have reliable transportation. And reliable is whatever that means. If you had a car and your car was repossessed, which is a reality, you no longer have that vehicle that you had. It is a reality. It happens. But when we look at that, Shaitan's job is to make us see the things that we do not have. His job is to keep us focused on the things that we give up for the life that we have currently. His job is to make us so focused on the few things that we do not have that we forget to be grateful for the things that we do in fact have. Allah has blessed us, brothers and sisters, to be able to walk through these doors again. He has blessed us to be able to sit and worship Him again. He has blessed us to be able to turn to Him again for forgiveness. This is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has given us yet another day in these blessed days to do something that would add to our scale on the day of judgment. So with all of this being said, brothers and sisters, Allah continuously gives us opportunities to do things, to worship Him and to please Him. And there are many things that we can do to worship Allah and to please Allah as long as it is within the fold of Islam. But when we say the fold of Islam, many of us have one very specific thing that we think about. And what I can say with a surety is that whatever we think about when we hear fold of Islam, it is much broader than what we think it is. The fold of Islam is way broader than what we know the fold of Islam to be. Because if we say we know everything that is within the fold of Islam, it means that we have all the knowledge about Islam, and none of us standing here or sitting here can claim that. So whatever we think the fold of Islam is? It is way broader than that. The fold of Islam that we know is what Allah has allowed us to know up to this point. Because I am certain in your life there have been things that you know to be impermissible or haram that you now see and as haram as you once thought they were. So years ago your fold of Islam may have been here, now it might have been here. Because you attended a lecture, you attended a sermon, you attended something that expanded your knowledge of what the fold of Islam encompasses. This is our Islam, brothers and sisters. This idea that we are consistently growing in our knowledge and our understanding of what this deen is. So I want to take some time today just to talk about this idea of sacrifice. Because Allah gives us the opportunities to continue to do things that please Him, and to get to that point, it requires a certain amount of effort and sacrifice. And I want to speak about that especially in this period. And you have heard this word before of sacrifice, right? This word sacrifice, we've heard it many times. It is not new to us as Muslims. But when we generally hear it, we hear it in the terms of giving up of your time, giving up of your money, giving up of those things that we value a lot. You've heard me speak about it, you've heard other Imams speak about it, you've heard it in lecture. You hear it all the time. So sacrifice is not new to the Muslim reality. But this word is a word that is present even outside of Islam, right? We hear it anywhere we go. Things such as the early bird catches the worm, work hard today for an easy retirement tomorrow, no sacrifice, no bitch. All of these things give the idea that we have to work now for something that will come. So it is present in our general consciousness. This idea of sacrifice flows through our very beings, brothers and sisters. It is instilled in us as kids. And yes, we can make the argument that kids right now, they only know about instant gratification and this is why they don't know anything about sacrifice. But there's still things that we ask them to sacrifice. We still teach them about sacrifice. So even if we find that there's a change in how much people are willing to sacrifice, sacrifice is still something that we still teach each other about and we believe in. Today I'm not going to tell you about the things that you should sacrifice. You've heard those things 1,000,001 times. Although reminders are good, I'm not going to spend time today telling you sacrifice more of your money, sacrifice more of your time, sacrifice more. I'm not going to tell you about that. What I want to talk about today, brothers and sisters, is what are some of the things that we need to have in order to be able to make the choice to sacrifice. Because sacrificing is a choice. Sacrificing is a choice. Everything we do in our Islam is a choice. You had a choice to come here today. You had a choice of what you are wearing to Jummah today. You had a choice of choosing to dress in your best or not. You had a choice of paying your zakat al-fitr last Eid or not. You had a choice to give charity on every single thing that we do is a choice. The thing that you share in social media, the words you use, how you phrase it, how you do it, how you put it, you have a choice before you hit a key on that keyboard or the key on your phone. Everything we do has a choice behind it. We are consistently making choices. Our Islam is a conglomeration or series of small choices that lead us up to the Day of Judgment. This is our Islam. A series of choices that get us there standing before Allah that we have to answer for. Because what we are answering for when we stand before Allah is why you made this choice over that one. Why did you choose this instead of this? If you knew this, why did you decide to do that? Unless you're going to ask us about things we did not know or we had no responsibility over. So why am I spending some time on this? I want us to look at the things we need to develop so that our soul loves the idea of sacrifice. Because that is what we have to get to. We have to get to a point in our Islam where our soul innately loves to sacrifice, where it loves to give up the things that we hold dear for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's easy to tell us what we should sacrifice. That sounds good. It's the things that we need to speak about. But how do we get to the point where we sacrifice those things? We need to have a soul that loves this. So that is what I'm going to speak to us about today. How do we get our soul to a point where it loves to give up things that it itself loves? How do we get to a point where Allah says, يَنَالَهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ, that it is their piety that reaches Him, and not the meat or the blood? So brothers and sisters, today I want to offer three things. And while I was writing this khutbah, I had 3 points I wanted to make. Detachment as one of the things to get a soul, to get to a point where our soul loves sacrifice, detaching from the things of this world, gratitude and humility. By the time I was finished writing this khutbah, I had only touched on detachment. So I think that is all I'm going to focus on today. Detachment. Because there's a lot apparently that can be said about detaching ourselves so that our soul loves the idea of sacrifice. Our tradition, according to our beloved Imam, Imam Ali radiallahu anh, it says something to this effect. Detachment is not that you should not own anything, but that nothing should own you. This is Imam Ali, the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ. Detachment is not that you should not own anything, but that nothing should own you. I'm starting off with that for a very specific reason. Usually, when we have the discussion about the dichotomy or the separation of the dunya from the akhirah, it is given to us in this way as, I shouldn't want anything in this life. No. Let's put that aside. That type of, I should not want anything in this life, creates a psychosis in us that is detrimental and problematic. We can't manage that. Because we have this internal thing that is fighting with us, right? I want something nice, but oh no, I know my Islam says I can't have anything nice, so I'm going to reject that. Our Islam doesn't tell us that at all. Our Islam doesn't tell us we cannot have the mansion. Our Islam doesn't tell us that we cannot have a car or 2 cars. Our Islam does not tell us that in that way. Our Islam, according to Imam Ali, does not say we cannot own anything. What does it say? The things should not own us. So if you have the means to have the mansion, have the mansion. Alhamdulillah, that is Allah's mercy to you. If you don't have the means to have the mansion, then alhamdulillah, that is Allah's mercy to you. Brothers and sisters, when we speak of something owning you, it is that you are subservient to that thing. You toil for it, you struggle for it, you fight for it. But that doesn't sound bad in and of itself, right? We toil for things, we struggle for things, we fight for things. But when it is something that owns you, you toil, you struggle, and you fight for it at the expense of other things that are even more important. This is when it owns you. You want a nice house, a nice car, a nice physique, a nice anything? Work for it, alhamdulillah. Nothing is wrong with that. But when this thing becomes your sole and major motivation, now we have started to go down a road where you are being owned by that thing. When anything that distracts you from your pursuit of that thing makes you upset, that you cut off your relationships, that your character changes, that you start behaving in a despicable way, that thing owns you. What do I mean by that? I'll be careful here. You have a car, brand new car. Someone scratches your car. Shiny, brand new, top of the line. Someone scratches it. Should you be a little bothered by that? Of course, it's your brand new car, you spend money on it, it's scratched. Be bothered by it, no problem. Nothing is wrong with that. But your car gets scratched. Someone comes to you 5 minutes later and says, I'm hungry. Can you give me $1 to get something to eat? And your response is, you see this scratch in my car? I need all the money I can to fix this scratch in my car. That is you being subservient to that thing. You're going to spend 500, 1,000, whatever it is, to fix a scratch on your vehicle, and you can't give someone $1 to get something to eat. Where do we get that from? How do we set our priorities in a way that we're not sacrificing this life for the life of the hereafter? When something distracts you from the pursuit of that thing that you have your heart set on, and that distraction causes you to behave in a way that is antithetical to Islam, now that thing owns you. You get angry, you get upset, you cannot focus. And our attachment can come in the form of many things. A woman, a man, our spouses, our wealth, our prestige, our power, our job, our health, or whatever it is. But one thing is common among all of these things: they are temporary. They are part of this life, and after that, they will leave us. Each one of these things that we become attached to is temporary. None of them are bad in and of themselves to have, as long as they are permissible. However, the issue is when we make them the end in and of themselves. When these are not just the things that we want, but we think that these things are our goal. When my job is to have this thing, that's not our job. When Allah says that He created us for nothing else, that we worship Him. That is our goal. That is our pursuit. But if the things and the ownership of the things become the goal that we strive for, then it's like you have the opportunity to get something great that you really want, but blindness is causing you to choose something that is actually more detrimental to your health. You have the means to get the thing that is better for you, but you're choosing something that is actually worse for you. We all do it. I am not standing here telling you that I don't get angry when something doesn't go my way. It happens. This is what we do. But I get angry because I was attached to that thing that I wanted. And because Allah in His wisdom chose not to give it to me, I decided to get angry about it. I was attached to that thing. You can think of all of the things that you've been attached to and are still attached to up to this point. And see how it distracts us from what we should be and where we should be. We have sufficient examples of this in the Quran. We have Fir'aun. What was his attachment? His attachment was power. He saw himself greater than Allah. He had to be in control. And what did Allah do to him? Destroyed him. Qarun. His attachment was what? Money and wealth. He didn't want to give up any of it. Fir'aun didn't want to give up any of his power. Qarun didn't want to give up any of his wealth. So what did Allah do to them? Destroy them. Their attachment was to something temporary that was given by Allah Himself. So if we don't want to give up the thing that Allah Himself has given us, then we become liable for punishment. How does Allah describe the people who attach themselves to things in this world? In Surah Al-Baqarah, this is what Allah says. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أولئك الذين اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة. They are the ones who do what? They are the ones who buy this life at the price of the hereafter. They trade this life for the life of the hereafter. But this is not like a trade-in that you do on a vehicle, where you go in with your old jalopy and you come with something new. This is the other way around. This is you taking in your brand new car and leaving with a car that drives on 3 wheels. This is what we do. When we trade the life of this world for the life of the hereafter. The interesting thing from this verse where Allah speaks about those who trade the life of this world for the life of the hereafter is when the verses that come just before this, He tells us, as He always does, what is the opposite of this. So He tells us who the righteous ones are. And not only does He tell us who the righteous ones are, He tells us what the ones who are not righteous, what they did to earn His displeasure. And the verses that come just before this in Surah Al-Baqarah talk about a conversation that Allah is narrating to about Bani Israel. And not so much a conversation, but He's telling them about themselves, as He tells us about ourselves. And He reminds the readers of the Quran about the covenant with Bani Israel, or the tribe of Israel, and it is still relevant to us, about them not killing each other, about them breaking their covenant, about the decision that they made to worship Allah and Allah alone, about the decision that they made to not kill each other, about the decision that they made not to drive each other out of their homes, about the decision that they made not to steal from each other, about the decisions that they made not to be unjust. And didn't we make such a covenant with Allah when we said La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah? We made that same covenant with Allah when we said we will not kill each other unjustly, we will not steal from each other, we will worship Allah and Allah alone, we will do the just things that Allah requires of us. This is the same covenant that we've made with Allah. And then He calls on them, He says, what? Do you believe in part of the book, but reject other parts? After He says, hey, you promised all of these things, you said you're going to do all of these things, but look at what you do. Is it that you believe only in some of what I have said, and you reject the other parts? Let's pause for a second here, because when we read these stories, we see them in it, but we don't see ourselves in it. When we read the Quran, we have to see ourselves in everything we read in the Quran. Is this us? Do we accept parts of the book and reject other parts of the book? It might be in how we act. It may be in how we think. It may be in how we look at things. I'll give you a quick story. This past week, a friend, she's non-Muslim, and yes, I have non-Muslim friends. She's non-Muslim. She called me and she said, I want to talk to you about something. So I spoke to her, and she was telling me about a friend of hers who is not Muslim also, but her non-Muslim friend has a Muslim boyfriend. And that is not the, don't stop at that part of the story. That is not the significant part. There's way more to this. And she knows something about Islam, right? And her question was, she's like, I know that they're being intimate with each other. Is this something that should be happening? And I didn't answer that question directly, because I knew she knew. She knew it. But what she was really asking me was, if they are Muslim, why are they doing this and not this? Why are they acting a certain way in one space but not going the full mile? Because this is what Islam is. And she also had some questions, right? She says, because she's suspicious about certain things. Some things are valid, some things aren't, but it's part of how she's learning. She says, and he tells her that he can't come over to her house because she has a dog, and if she has a dog, he cannot pray there. And she's like, that doesn't sound right. And I said, no, wait. I said, no, there's some legitimacy to that, depending on the school of thought that you come from, right? There's some legitimacy to that. Everything isn't invalid. We may see it as a game that is being run. We understand the game, but let me not focus on what game is being run here. Let us focus on whether there's legitimacy to what he's saying or not. No, there's legitimacy to what he's saying, right? That depending on the school of thought that you come from, if the dog saliva gets on your clothes or gets in the space that you want to pray, you can't pray in that. There's some validity in what he's saying. So alhamdulillah, he's following the sunnah, which the Quran tells us to do. He's following the sunnah as he understands it. But the Quran also tells us about other things, right? It tells us about that other part of the relationship that is happening. Do we take part of the book and reject another part? I am not using this, what I'm speaking about here, to condemn his actions. What I'm using this as an example of is, we engage in these actions all the time. We will tell someone, you need to be like this. You need to do this. Why? Because the Quran and the Messenger of Allah tell us to be like this, and then they come and say, yeah, but you have to be like this as well. Well, it's contextual. You see, well, yeah, I hear that, but not really. Because for me, it's different, because we randomly accept one thing wholeheartedly and fight to accept something else. But why? Because this is us. Allah will give us that struggle. The struggle that we have, brothers and sisters, the things that we have when it comes to sacrifice, is our attachment. The thing that we have when it comes to sacrifice, the thing that we have to fight against, is our attachment. The thing that we struggle with when we're reminded of it is your attachment, it's my attachment. It is a thing that we can't let go of. And it's that thing that we can't let go of that will do what? Continue to come back and face us as individuals. Why? Because we can't let go of it. And why? Because we stand in the month of Ramadan and we say, oh Allah, purify me. Oh Allah, make me closer to you. Oh Allah, make me this, make me that. We ask for all of the righteous things that we should ask for. Alhamdulillah. How are we going to get them? We are not going to become more patient if our patience is not tested. We are not going to become more generous if we aren't tested with being more generous. We are not going to become more knowledgeable if we aren't tested with keeping quiet when we don't know the answer. And we will consistently get put into those positions where that thing that we are attached to is tested until it is no longer that thing that we are attached to. Up until we tell ourselves we are not attached to it, and then it comes right back around. Brothers and sisters, this is us. This thing that is our test, brothers and sisters, can take many forms. And finding a way to detach is the test that we have to really fight against. If your struggle is that you need to be more generous, Allah will continue to send you opportunities for you to be more generous. Or more likely, not so much opportunities, but more likely, because Allah is who He is, He will put someone in your life very close to you. A spouse, a relative, someone who you're tight with. And this person, they want to give everything and never say no. But you're like, no, we can't keep giving everything like that. We can't. We can't keep doing that. So what does Allah do? He attaches you to that person who wants to give everything up. And you're there, you want to hold some things back. But both of you now become that thing that is a test and a balance for each other. So it's not so much just opportunities, but it's that He puts that thing there for you to struggle with. Because this is the purification. When we speak about zakah as a purification, this is the purification. It is us cleaning out ourselves. If your attachment is to the man or the woman that you are married to, and the thing that you need from them is attention, the thing that you want to be is their sole focus, what will Allah do? Allah might just attach you to somebody whose hand is in many different things in a lawful way, who is always giving of their time and focus on multiple things that are permissible to be focused on. Why? Because your thing is attachment to attention. So and as I was writing this, sayings such as opposites attract and such and things like that came to mind. But then why? This is our test, brothers and sisters. I spent some time discussing this point because I want us to see, brothers and sisters, that attachment debilitates us. It prevents us from doing the things that we need to do, and it cripples us. It blinds us. It hurts us and it injures us, brothers and sisters. When we see people doing wrong, brothers and sisters, without any sort of care in the world, it is because they're attached to something. There's something that their heart is attached to that falls short of what Allah wants us to be attached to. The Prophet ﷺ said this: abstinence or detachment from the world is not by denouncing as prohibited that which is permitted, or by neglecting wealth and making it go to waste. However, on the contrary, abstinence or detachment means that you do not place greater reliance on what you have in your own hands than you do on what lies in the hands of Allah. And when misfortune comes your way, you have such faith in Allah and you have such faith in the reward for bearing that misfortune with patience that you wish that the misfortune can remain with you. This is what detachment from this world is. I go back to where I started. It is not saying you do not want stuff. It is not making that stuff your end goal. SubhanAllah, brothers and sisters, it is clear that we are only here for a short time. Allah reminds us of that repeatedly in the Quran, and I'll just use one thing that we've all heard over and over again. When we say Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, this is a very simple thing that, I shouldn't say simple, this is a very common thing that we say. But it tells us very clearly it's temporary. It tells us very clearly it is going to end. It tells us very clearly that we are going to go back to our Lord. And if we want to go back to our Lord in a good state, we have to figure out how to sacrifice. And what I've been spending time speaking to you about is how do we get to a point where our souls love to sacrifice. And to get to a point where our souls love to sacrifice, we have to find a way to detach from the things that pull us away, from the things that burden us, from the things that injure us. I'll say this, and I'll skip the humility point and I'll break the first half and then stop and pray. Brothers and sisters, there's a long hadith Qudsi that I was going to narrate to you, but I'll skip that in the interest of time and in the interest of the temperature in the Musalla. Everything we have is from Allah. And this is what this hadith Qudsi reminded us of, and it starts off, "O my servants, I have forbidden oppression for myself and I have made it forbidden amongst you, so do not oppress each other." So you've heard of that, you've heard a hadith Qudsi that starts like that. You can look it up and you'll get a gist of what I mean by this. So if everything, brothers and sisters, is from Allah, everything we have is, every single thing we have been given is from Allah. That is a fact. There's nothing that disputes that. And if everything we do is for the sake of Allah, then when we sacrifice, brothers and sisters, what are we really giving up? If what we have is not even ours, is it really a sacrifice? You're just returning to Allah what He gave you permission to hold. The sacrifice that we are making, brothers and sisters, is the time that we spend in reforming ourselves. The time that we take to make decisions that draw us closer to Allah. Because the things that we give aren't even ours to give. They belong to Allah. So when we think of sacrifice, we think that we are losing something. On the contrary, brothers and sisters, everything in our Islam tells us that when we spend the time making decisions about how closer we want to get to Allah, we're actually earning more than we lose. So let us, brothers and sisters, take the time to fight against those things that draw us away from Allah. Let us take the time to ask Allah to continue to purify us. The sad reality, brothers and sisters, is that most of us are ungrateful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in His glorious Quran, وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِي يَشْكُرُ. Verily few among my servants are truly grateful. Remember, brothers and sisters, we receive more good than we deserve, and we are not given the amount of punishment that we deserve. Let us ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to soften our hearts, to increase us in gratitude, and to forgive us our sins. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر لي ولكم. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Brothers and sisters, I'll end with something that I left you with the last time. I reminded you of a narration of Imam al-Haddad. And this narration, when he says that reflection is the lamp of the heart, and if it's depart, the heart will have no light, is something that I want to return to here as I close on this khutbah. We have to reflect on the things that we are attached to. We have to reflect on that. I cannot tell you what you're attached to. You cannot tell me what I'm attached to. I know that. I can tell you things that people might be attached to, but you know what is your attachment and your test. You have to sit with yourself, sit with the real you, and figure that out. One tool to figure that out: look at the things that make you really angry. Look at the things that make you really angry, and then ask yourself, why does that make me like that? Look at the things that you get into arguments over, and ask yourself, what makes me behave like that? And after you ask yourself what makes you behave like that, ask yourself, why does it make me behave like that? And keep asking yourself until you get to the point of, oh, this is the thing that I really want here. This is the thing that I'm attached to. And then when you find out what that thing is, ask yourself, how can I have a healthier relationship with that thing? How can I have a healthier relationship with that thing? Brothers and sisters, our action plan. Turn to our Lord more. We have to make more dua. We have to ask ourselves. Secondly, ask ourselves the questions that I just asked you to ask yourselves. Ask yourselves why. We have to ask ourselves why. Because if somebody else asks us, we get defensive. You ask yourself why. And get angry with yourself after you ask yourself why. Because you're the one who has to deal with that. I have to deal with me. So let's ask ourselves why. And from this member, we always say, do not let the day pass and you have not done something for someone else that has no direct benefit to you. Find a way to do something for someone else that has no direct benefit to you. Find a way to engage in this process of khidmah that has no direct benefit to you, but it's just you doing something for someone else. If we are able to master that, brothers and sisters, then we get closer to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls us towards. Before I end, I just want to give us an idea of what Quba is doing for the Eid on Monday. So Quba, just so that we are aware, Quba is celebrating the Eid on Monday, inshallah. That's the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, so Monday the 12th, we are celebrating the Eid. The takbirat will be at 8 a.m. The salah will be at 8:30 a.m. Here at Quba, we do not have a second Jama'ah. Right, so we don't pray a second group prayer in the masjid. So if you come and you miss the first prayer, there are fixed regulations around how you navigate that, and that can be a discussion afterwards. But what I'm asking is that if you come and you miss the prayer, it would be appreciated if, let's say, a bunch of us come late, that you don't form a second congregation and make a second Eid prayer in the musalla, especially while the khutbah is going on. We ask that you not do that, please. But we'll be gathering here at 8 o'clock for the takbirat. The prayer will be at 8:30. We will have refreshments like we did for the last Eid, and then we have then you have different events that happen around the city. We ask that you please go patronize any of the events that are happening anywhere else in the city for the day of the Eid. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives us our sins. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides us to the straight path. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives us for the things that we have done, forgives us for the things that we have done which displeases Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in His glorious Quran, Inna Allah wa malaikatu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid Oh Allah, we pray that those who have made Hajj in your name, that you allow them to, that you accept their Hajj. Oh Allah, we pray that those who have made Hajj in your name, that you accept their Hajj. Oh Allah, we ask that those who have made Hajj in your name, that you accept their Hajj. Oh Allah, we ask those of us who have not been able to make the pilgrimage to your house, that you give us the means and you call us to your house in the near future. Oh Allah, we ask those of us who have not been able to make the Hajj, that you call us to your house in the near future. Oh Allah, we ask that those of us who have not made the Hajj, that you give us the intention to make the Hajj and call us to your house in the near future. Oh Allah, we ask those who have made the Hajj, that you allow them to return to us safely, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask that you forgive us our sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask that you bless, guide and protect us, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask that you grant us success in the things that we do that are pleasing to you, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask that you forgive us our sins, show us the straight path and save us from hypocrisy, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask that you increase us in our generosity, increase us in our forgiveness, and increase us in our gratitude for you, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask that you bless, guide and protect us, bless, guide and protect the Muslims all around the world, and help us to be good to those who we meet, whether we know them or we do not know them, Ya Allah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursaleen, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa aqimu salat.
الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة تكبر الصلاة تكبر الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawm Ad-Din, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim, غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.